Hello, my name is Dr. Urvi Mankekar and I'm a pediatric physiotherapist. Today I will be talking about cerebral palsy and try to answer a few questions that your parents might have related to this condition. So what is cerebral palsy? Cerebral stands for the word brain and palsy stands for the word weakness or difficulty in using the muscles. So therefore this is a group of disorders where the child finds it difficult to move and also difficult to maintain posture as well as balance. So CP, as we all know, varies and there are different types of CP which you may get to see in children, such as spastic, dyskinetic, ataxic or mixed type of cerebral palsy, in which you might see two types of cerebral palsies together in one child. So now, which part of the brain is exactly affected in cerebral palsy? So our nervous system, that is the brain and the spinal cord, is made up of two types of matter, gray matter as well as white matter. So in cerebral palsy, the white matter in the brain is what is most commonly affected. How and when does the brain damage occur? Now there are two types of causes which mainly cause this brain damage in children. 85 to 90% of the children that we get to see in cerebral palsy have congenital causes because of which cerebral palsy has occurred in them, whereas the remaining small percent, the children have acquired causes of cerebral palsy. Now let's talk about the congenital causes. This can occur in three stages: either when the mother is pregnant, or during the labor process, or when the child is being delivered, and the last one is after the child is born. So care needs to be taken at all these three stages. Now when the mother is pregnant, if she has certain infections like chickenpox, rubella, or if she has high BP problems, thyroid problems, epilepsy, because of which she gets seizures during pregnancy, all this needs to be tackled properly by speaking to a proper gynecologist and going for regular visits to the gynecologist so that care can be taken in terms of all this. Medications need to be taken accordingly and with proper care so that there is no damage that occurs to the fetus that is developing inside the mother. Also, one more thing to be taken care of is the mother is exposed to cigarette smoking. Like if the father smokes or anybody in the house is smoking around, that can also cause a very bad effect on the development of the child's brain. Next is if there is twin pregnancy or multiple pregnancy like triplets, quadruplets, the mother needs to take even more care because that increases the risk of cerebral palsy that could occur in maybe one or both the children. So care needs to be taken with multiple pregnancy. Next one is when the child is being delivered. Now certain things is proper care needs to be taken that the labor is not prolonged for a very long amount of time. Sometimes forceps and vacuum delivery that is used to hasten the speed of the delivery might cause certain damage to the child's brain, or not taking the proper time to decide when to go in for a cesarean section. All this which prolongs the labor time could give less oxygen to the child's brain, and the minute the child gets less amount of oxygen to the brain is when the damage of the brain starts. So quick action needs to be taken even during delivery, and medical negligence needs to be prevented in order to prevent this problem in children. Lastly, once the child is born, if they have a low birth weight, that is less than 3.5 kg, or if the child has seizures as soon as he's been born, or if the child has failed to cry. So if the child does not cry after birth or cries after a very long time, if the child's brain is without oxygen for that amount of time. So care needs to be taken that all these precautions are taken by the doctors immediately once the delivery has been done. The mother needs to take care of the child even if the child develops jaundice after birth. Up to a certain level, jaundice is normal. But if the jaundice is not treated properly and it reaches a certain very high level, then that could cause kernicterus, which is also highly risky for the child to then develop cerebral palsy. So the initial few months to years of development of the child are very crucial in preventing the child from getting any form of damage to the brain. Next is acquired type of cerebral palsy, which develops after the child is born. So this is not present during birth. It develops because of certain maybe sickle cell anemia or certain infections which might occur in the child once he's born, or any head injury which might cause severe damage to the brain of the child. The next question is cerebral palsy genetic? Now this is a very common question asked by parents. First of all, care needs to be taken if there's any form of consanguinity in marriage, because WHO has shown, so consanguinity is when parents get married either to the first cousins or second cousins, basically having the same ancestors, increases the risk of CP to about 3-fold times, and the risk of other disabilities that could occur in children to up to 9-fold times. Therefore, if the parents have had a consanguineous marriage, it is very important for them to undergo proper genetic testing to see whether they have any problems in the genes which could lead to neurological issues in their children. So this is number one care that needs to be taken. Second one is a lot of genetic defects which might be there in the genes could somehow cause CP in children by causing brain damage. So therefore, care needs to be taken before any couple, whether it is a consanguineous marriage or not. It's really suggested that parents take up genetic testing irrespective to see if there are any changes in the genes which could cause neurological issues in their offsprings. Seen that in familial cases of CP, that is where the CP happens in the first child because of genetic inheritance, it is seen that there is a 1.6% chance that even the second child might develop cerebral palsy. Therefore, it is very important for the parents to undergo proper genetic testing and screening before planning their second child. Next question is, at what age can cerebral palsy be diagnosed? So ideally speaking, cerebral palsy, the earlier it is diagnosed, the better it is, not only for the child but also for the family and the caregivers, so that utmost care can be given to the child right from the start, so that the child's condition can be improved right from the start. So as we all know, regular pediatrician visits are very important for any child that is born. Regularly has to be taken to the developmental pediatrician for, first of all, developmental monitoring. So each time that you go to the pediatrician maintains a growth chart with which you know that the child is growing properly and appropriately pertaining to the milestone. The next question is, how does cerebral palsy affect development? Now, as I had already said earlier, it is a motor disorder. So first of all, the child will have issues in achieving certain milestones such as sitting independently, standing independently, walking independently. All this will become a little difficult for the child to achieve because it is a major motor affection that occurs in children. Apart from that, there are also certain other problems which a child might face, such as vision problems, IQ related issues, also behavioral issues because of brain damage they'll not be able to express emotions well. Then they also have other problems such as digestive issues. They might not be able to digest the food well, or they might remove the food out, or they might be able to experience other issues such as respiratory problems, breathing problems, or even emotional issues. So all this in the child will obviously lead to certain amount of problems in normal development. A very common question parents have is, what is neuroplasticity and how will it help in cerebral palsy? So first of all, neuroplasticity is a process in which the brain rewires, relearns and strengthens important connections. How will this help in CP? Now, when you take a child to a therapist, what we do is we work on the child, we teach them skills, we train them for the milestones, and we make them practice it over and over again. So, practice is what helps in developing these connections in the brain, which these children have never been able to develop before because of normal development. So, by starting this process at an early age, that is in the first 5 years of life, it is crucial because that is where the fastest development of the brain occurs in children. So, the earlier you start therapy in these children, the better it is, not only for the child but also for the families which are taking care, because the faster the process, the better the child will be able to do in life in general. Lastly, I would like to end on the note that these children with cerebral palsy are really unique and special and have their own capabilities and potential to do really well in life. If they're given the right amount of proper training, whether it is in terms of therapy rooms or at home or in school, it really helps them to develop a certain sense of independence themselves. So there are a lot of famous personalities such as H. Boniface Prabhu, who is a wheelchair-based tennis player, and he's also been awarded the Padma Shri. So imagine having quadriplegic CP, being on the wheelchair and being a tennis player. At the same time, there is also another author and disability right activist called Malini Chib, who is another person diagnosed with cerebral palsy. There are so many people who are doing so well in their respective spheres of life. Similarly, every child with cerebral palsy deserves to be accepted for the way they are and also to show their talents and to do really well in their lives. So, as parents, do not lose hope, be positive, and continue to encourage your child. And you always have the support of all doctors and the multidisciplinary team. So, make use of that and really work towards the child, and it'll be really fine. Thank you.